Over the last few days, we've started tuning into our big question time question: how does adaptation transform our world? Hopefully, by now you understand a little bit about what an adaptation is. But if not, adaptation is the scientific name for a structure or behaviour that an animal uses to help survive its habitat. For example, bears that live in forests are usually brown. However, the polar bear is usually white, which helps it blend into its environment, hiding in plain sight. If you have read the daily post correctly, you have drawn up a little table into your book. If not, pause this video and go back now and get that done. Now, you should be able to complete that table with the information I'm about to give you. There are 3 different types of adaptations. The first one includes things like ducks' webbed feet, monkeys' opposable thumbs, and a snake's hinged jaw. These are all examples of structural adaptations. A structural adaptation refers to a body part that an animal possesses. Next, we have an adaptation that includes things like fish swimming in schools, dogs chasing away strangers, and birds flying south for the winter. These are all examples of behavioral adaptations. Finally, we have an adaptation that includes shivering when you're cold, wolves' coats growing thicker in the winter, and cats' furs standing on end when they are frightened. These are examples of a physiological adaptation. That's a tricky word to say, physiological. These are adaptations that are automatic. The body does them all on their own. Now we are going to look at some examples and see if we can guess what kind of adaptation they are. First, we have fish swimming in schools for protection, bird calls that attract mates or for defense, and squirrels that bury their nuts for the winter. What type of adaptation do you think these are an example of? Physiological, behavioral, or structural? That's right, it's a behavioral adaptation. A behavioral adaptation is an action done on purpose to help with survival. It is done by choice. Next, we have the quills on a porcupine for defense, a prehensile tail on a monkey for climbing, and thick fur on an Arctic fox for warmth. What type of adaptation do you think these are an example of? Physiological, behavioral, or structural? That's right, it's a structural adaptation. A structural adaptation is a physical feature that helps an animal survive. It is usually a body part. Finally, we have animals that shed their winter coat to stay cool, humans sweating to stay cool, adrenaline being pumped into your bloodstream when you get scared or surprised to help you run away, and finally, your pupils dilating when you're in the dark to let more light in to help you see. Obviously, we only have one adaptation left, and that is the physiological adaptation. A physiological adaptation is where your body does something automatically without you needing to tell it. It is automatic.